Yes, this is a review of Starfleet Academy Episode 2. This one is called Beta Test. And in it, the Betazoids return from behind a wall. It's clearly symbolic for other walls and other things. Space wall. I don't know how they would build a space wall, but they built a space wall. And of course we have our what's the name of that kid? The hot Indian kid. What is his name? The guy in the story. They sort of pull a kind of a reverse version of Haven. And a number and maybe Manhunt a little bit. Some Beta-Z episodes they clearly reference. They also kind of do the Romeo and Juliet, but no, it's kind of West Side Story thing, but without the ending. They changed the ending. They have a gag where the doctor's doing opera at one point. There's some weird stuff in here. They're letting Robert Picardo do whatever he wants. That's not a good idea. But Tig Notaro returns as the physics teacher, I guess. Haven't seen Mary Wiseman yet on the show, even though that's what they were going to make sure for her character. So we have some couple of Orions in there, descended from Tendi, of course. We have some other. I don't know what they were on about Ral in the last episode being Captain Ral. I don't know. So we got right away. Yeah, of course, because it's referencing starship locations and star crackers. There has to be at least one apple toss in it, and there's in the middle and then the end. In the middle, apple toss. He tosses the apple and bites it. That's the thing you do when you want to reference directly a Cal-Cat marks cards. Brown and Jaeger thing. You do that, and you get that, because you get this Betazoid girl that's into the guy, and of course the roommates are. It's a classic Academy frat boy comedy near the end here with the three boys, the brother joining the Academy, who's clearly the gay guy. And I'm not so sure about the hot Indian kid too, the main lead, because he might be too, or at least bi. Yeah, I think the reason he's a strong, sensitive prisoner type is because he's bi. He's like into everything. So yeah, unlike that other guy who's totally gay. The brother's totally gay. Anyway, there's Beta's a brother guy. He's into he's not into girls. So the plot, there's the Betazoid guys coming behind the wall, and they're doing they got one of them doing sign language, which is cool, doing the whole, they're referencing the interpreter thing from a good Next Generation episode from season 2. They're very rare in season 2, but the loudest whisper, they got that guy deaf doing sign language. And they have devices to keep them from their powers killing them. Some of the Betazoid empaths have Cillian powers as well, and it makes them more advanced. So the girl is a more advanced Cillian Betazoid, and she's so they have powers too, and they could actually fry your brain with their Betazoid powers if they wanted to. So they have to have an impulsor to keep them from frying your brain. It's in the story, and it's part of the zombie arc too as well. The only way they would have known is if the two series were being produced at the same time, and they're like, "Oh, okay, what is Cal-Cat doing over here? Let's make sure we don't quite do what he's doing. Let's do what they're doing over there." And let's not mix them up. If he's gonna do a Betazoid that has mind powers, we'll address it when we do a Betazoid episode, but we'll make it we'll make it a little different, but not that much different. Okay, oh yeah. It's who that is. It's obviously who that is. Yeah. Okay. Okay, just borrow characters from Starship Locations and Legacy. Okay, she's a Betazoid. No. What? But not really, but kind of. Not really, but kind of. As like they're not only reading the room, but also the characters. Also they're the guy the Paris guy is. Yeah, it's not really what's going on. They're not copying the fan film really. It's not that. I don't mind. It's fine. It's just that it's uncanny that they're doing. Yeah, they build a relationship in the story that earns it a little better than the one at the end of Stranger Worlds when the captain and his girlfriend. That they didn't quite earn that It's a Wonderful Life thing. They were able to do it better in this one, probably because they got 2 female executive producers that knew how to write romance. Whereas the guys, not so good at that. Yeah, so they're doing a typical like young person thing. They do say "bruh" twice in it near the end, but there it worked because if it's bruh, he's literally the bro. There it was relevant. But at least they didn't go overboard with that. And of course, the captain throws the apple to the kid instead of the kid throwing it to the captain, is in a Picard story. Or that the captain having the apple and tossing it up and getting it, as in the Starcrackers story. Or in Star Trek '09. Yeah, so clearly they know what. Let's just hire. They're just cribbing our ideas. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to a planet where it's like, oh, we're going to go visit Flowdie next week. You have a roving gangs, mobs, things, that kind of thing. If there's a mandate in the story that somehow the right-wingers are on about, then it doesn't apply to this episode where they are clearly implying that the pseudo-fascist characters that sort of were Federation-y earlier have become less fascist. That would be the opposite of what's going on. Yeah, the opposite of that. Them getting together with Betazoid again and putting the base on Betazoid, that's kind of what they're going to do. I'm not sure why that would make sense. How about an embassy? Well, they put a base. And then their powers kind of don't make sense. Well, if they're Cillians, it does. Because then they can just say, oh, he's Cillian. There's an excuse that way. They can say, oh, they're Cillians. 700 years in the future. Because they had contact with the planet. There's a shot in the audience of Ferengi and some other characters. One of those weird things from. Oh yeah, and there's a descendant of Rocktog in this episode. Look for the descendant of Rocktog walking along. Or Rocktog, who was also too young to be in the later shows. Another thing, they gotta solve the Betazoid test, and then it's not really a test though. It's cute. They call it Beta Test. But yeah, that was a Star Trek thing. I didn't invent the Betazoids. I invented that other version of them. And then they went on and did my version of them instead of the Star Trek version of them. Like, what? What are you doing? Like, I wasn't in the writing room. I wasn't. You can do it if you want to. But yeah. It's a bottle. The first one was a bottle show. This one was a Planet Hell show. At times you can tell the room. And the audio was a little better. So I'm thinking that they just didn't polish it enough or kick it up enough or whatever. The audio was a little better on this one. It's a little goofier. And yeah, Jesse Jenner's right. It's a parody. It's silly Trek. This is basically Star Trek Legacy, which is fine. Star Trek Legacy Future. Okay. Yeah, Janet Reno, the actress. Jet Reno, the actress, is actually lesbian, I think. So there's a lot of... there's that. They brought that dynamic back because they wanted to put that in there and not. They didn't have time in the pilot to do all that, but it's clearly obvious though the character hookups if they happen. One of them jokes about that. It says, "Don't hook up with anybody in the first couple of weeks." The crazy one. That happens in junior college all the time. Did in the '90s. Yeah, it's like all the girls I encountered, they were all kind of nuts in the '90s. They're all kind of nuts. Maybe not all of them. Maybe near the end, the church ones are a little less nuts. It's Space 90210, but it's a good imitation of that. So fine. The only thing that's weird is that they wouldn't talk in English. It would be some weird language, but I guess they couldn't really do that. Make it make sense. At least there is not a gravity-defying, plot-defying super weapon. There's not really a Khan. Well, there's that Giamatti character, but he's not really a Khan. The apple tossing. But yes, this episode should have said somewhere in the credits, inspired by Adam Brown or Calcat. The apple scene. Inspired by. And John Yeager. Mark's cards. Inspired by. Yeah, they're hitting all the right buttons as far as I'm concerned. It's not like Discovery being pedantic and pretentious. They're probably going to run into the problem of that the characters aren't. Let's build a fort at the end. Yeah, that scene. There was a scene at the end where they're in the dorm. It's like, oh, this is a prelude to an all-male night out where they build a fort on the bed. The three of them are Metro in San Francisco. Well, of course they are. Oh my! The Bredesward brother is definitely there already. Oh my! They do mention cringe a few times, but that's how kids talk now. They do that, but but yes. Yeah. So this is this was beta test. Beta's Weight episode. It dealt with their minds and their powers and stuff. I thought to just go into that too, since the episode itself is rather not pedantic, but rather obvious for a space. Clearly, they have a set that they've built, magnificent set, and they also have the screens and things, and they can go around in the set. They're probably using a college somewhere in Canada. And that looks like it. The parts when they're in that, it really looks like it. And the other ones are just redressed Discovery sets. They do reference in this story, they do have they reference the humpback whales from Star Trek 4. Are they the only whales in the ocean? Because otherwise they have no predators. There's nothing for them to eat. Yeah, what's the oceans like in this other version of Earth and stuff? The kid is trying to escape over the wall. Really symbolic for the other wall that's pieces of wall that were built between U.S. and Mexico back in the early 2020. Pieces of wall that anybody can just walk around. That's just pieces of wall. Yeah, there's this magnificent wall, and the camera cuts back, and there's a freeway-sized opening right next to it, around it. They don't need to scale over it with a ladder. They just walk around it. There's holes in it. They don't talk about the wall anymore. There's a wall, and that's clearly what they're referencing. But it's a Canadian show, so they're referencing it in a different way, see. But yeah, there's no mandate that says, oh, dial back the gay, and have there be more fascist guys in there, and have them be dicks. And no, it's just that they that's not what happened. I think with Strange New Worlds, it was written during the writer's strike, and they just didn't know what they were doing last season. Now, next season, they're going to have, fairly soon, they're going to have that puppet episode. And I did not want them to do that, and they did it anyway. I said, that's going to be stupid. Mark Scarzo, that's going to be very stupid. Puppets. Only we can do that with action figures. Yeah, our stuff is action figures. I'm not sure why we have the curmudgeonly doctor guy with the jokes that that it doesn't work, in a sense. But the camaraderie between the characters is better than on Discovery. And if it's the younger people, it's basically Macross 7, which was a version of Robotech where it was from the vantage point of the crew on the ship and the band, and not the commander. It was Max Sterling. So it's the crew on the ship. And it's about time to do a story with the crew on the ship, because actually at the end of Discovery Season 5, you really had no idea who anybody really was. You knew about that lady with the thing, and the guy that liked starships. But that's it. In other words, the characters were just, there. The Jem'Hadar lady doesn't get much to do in this one. I suppose that annoys the right-wingers, if there's a Jem'Hadar Klingon lady. I think she's pretty funny, so that's fine. She's Crass, clearly, who was a regular Klingon, a Crass and descendant of Crass. And that's funny. And Giamatti's a descendant of Jamie Messi from the series. And partly Klingon, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Partly Tellarite, yes, absolutely. Somewhere back there, Tellarites and Klingons. Klingerite. Or Telleron would be funnier too. So yeah, the chemistry between Mr. Sexy Guy and the Betazoid girl who's now going to be a military person is interesting. It's kind of unfair though. She has mental powers. If she's modeled after Avery, she's going to be able to use her mental powers to like literally melt her opponents. They just fall over. It's not fair. It's like she's Jean Grey with that psychic power, which I did reference. In one of my stories, one of them was all, "What are you, Jean Grey from X-Men?" And she's all, "Kind of." Kind of like that, yeah. Except I won't become the Dark Phoenix. Ah. Ooh, reference. Yeah, we like your references. I just saw some of the background. They mentioned the Turner Pavilion and the Kirk Pavilion. I think the Turner thing is a nod to... I'm not sure what that's a nod to. Maybe one of their guys. Maybe the guy that was in the wheelchair that was on the show that some of the other people complained about. Why would he be in an Earth wheelchair from our century? Well, the actor wanted to be on the guy wanted to be on the show. It's like, come on. They'll let him be on the show. It's fine. It's sort of like when they brought Stephen Hawking on Next Generation. Well, he passed away, so maybe that's who they're referencing. I don't know. I don't know who they're referencing. Referencing somebody. They had the credits in the second episode. You got to see the credits, and it's reminiscent of Picard in the other one. The buildings going up, the flowers going out, stuff like that. The constructing building. I take it they rebuilt San Francisco, like with the programmable matter or something. Or, I don't know. Well, anyway, so yeah, it's not really them. It's not really them. It's just like them, right? Yeah. So it works. It's fine. There's nothing. I mean, it is a little cringe because they're trying to be young people, and it was clearly written by people in their 40s and 50s who aren't young people. It was originally the Kirk Pavilion in the timeline. Yeah, that's who that is. Except for that's who that is. Okay, so they got all these, and it's probably someone else too, but we'll say it's. Yeah, I was not on the show. I was not on the set. It's really weird. It's like a presence was felt on the set. Yeah, so Star Trek Academy. Why do you keep bringing my characters back? Why do you keep doing that? It's kind of cringe, like they said in the episode. It's cringe. Oh, why not? So far, it's not stupid yet. It probably will get stupid. What do they call the planet that we're going to go to? Gafe or something like that? Coffee? Got the Java planet. But they mentioned frappuccinos and coffees in Java a lot, but that's actually a little later too. A lot of the dialogue sounds a little later than they actually are. They're like, yeah. But that's fine. As long as it's not earlier than that. Yeah. That's Starfleet Academy. The 32nd century Starfleet Academy story. Why don't you Star Trek people do a Academy story set in 2404? Legacy. Call it Star Trek Legacy the movie for the 60th anniversary. Starfleet Academy episode. So some of the characters from Picard. Picard movie, basically. Have them meet the Q continuum. There you go. There you go. There's your idea. So it's the Q. It's not Khan. Q is sort of the Joker to Picard's Batman. Sort of. More so than Khan was to Kirk. Khan and Kirk only met twice. The Space Seed and the other episode, technically. They weren't really... Mudd encountered Kirk more than and Captain Kirk. That they're villains doesn't define them that they're gender or preference. Yeah. That doesn't define them. They're just a LARPing troop. I like that the LARPing troop is present in this episode. And they're singing opera. That's funny. That's good. That's funny. So they're still around, and there's one of those giant things with a funky piece. Yeah, there's a Planet of the Fallen Ones character singing opera alongside the Doctor. Great, that's awesome. And also, I was pointing out after the other one, that alien dude that kind of had the Borg ability to go outside, he's a fallen one. Yeah, he's a Nepotisian. He's fallen. He's got the ability to turn stone-like and go outside. It's also probably a reference to Strange New Worlds, which also introduced them. Like early, she goes inside the idol and becomes one of them, the fallen ones. Yeah, so they're referencing our stuff. But what they have to do in Strange New Worlds next season, they have to fix the Gorn. And here's the David Gerrold-esque idea. David Gerrold, and he didn't say it. Here's the idea. The Gorn that they've encountered on Strange New Worlds have Regulon bloodworms. It's a reference to Star Trek. Dr. McCoy cures them. When he shows up on the next show, he goes, "Oh, I cured them. The Gorn you met that do the thing where the parasitic baby grows up and it kills you. Yeah, those were Regulon bloodworms. They were infected. Yeah, I cured it, so they're fine now. Yeah, I fixed that. Because they can't be the real Gorn, because having them have alien parasite babies is stupid. Although I did like the programmable matter snot monster thing, which was gross. But why would they do that? It's like, what the doctor's gonna like, says he's gonna kill them or something. Yeah, that's not much. They may be referencing Game of Thrones, but yeah, the actors are pretty good. They have good chemistry. I'll say that. They don't look like they hate each other. I think Jet Reno looks like she hates all of them, but but she kind of always does that. Shows. I think it's kind of amusing that Discovery started with getting Sonequa Martin Green, who was as the captain, because she was on Walking Dead. So there's a connection to the zombie episodes right there. On The Walking Dead. She's in Star Trek, really? There were Walking Dead fans in the family that were like, "Oh, that lady's the captain now. That's interesting." It's like, I don't do anything with it, but yeah, it's interesting. The captain on the ship. The lead Lathian. The Lathians are like the Libyans or the Elysians. They're Scythians. So the Lathians are basically a nod to me and my fan films. And Mark's cards, of course. They're basically they're all blonde and they're the Libyan. Libby and Chris from Pine Hill. They're descendants from them. I'm assuming they're descendants of Libby because Chris didn't have any kids. Just of Libby, or followers of Libby, the great one, Libby. And she lost a kid in the burn in the story. Her Captain K is her name, K, Captain K, Cal Cat. No, wait a minute. Betazord lady. Oh. They've already greenlit a season 2 of this, incidentally. I think they have. But yeah, if they use the existing sets, they don't need to spend money on necessarily like a lot of money on extra sets. I think bringing back the original crew for one last go around, old Shatner, old Sulu, and old Kirk. It's old Shatner, old Shatner as Kirk, old Sulu as Sulu, old Chekhov. Kirk and Sulu Chekhov. Kirk and George Takei, even though they don't like each other. I know this from George Takei. He said, "Oh, I'm not fond of Shatner. Oh no, I don't know if I'd want to work with him again. No way." And then George Takei, well, he wants a paycheck. So I don't care. Yeah, they all do it again. Let's have them show up, and they meet up with Picard, and then Picard's children. They go on a planet. They go on an adventure. One last ride. And we get Brent Spiner and then Patrick Stewart in there. And at least one of the Deep Space Nine people, not just 7 from Voyager. We throw in Nana Visser. And we throw in Bashir. And we have them go, "Oh yeah, Kiriyoshi's not O'Brien. Obviously. He's mine with Bashir." Yeah, obviously. Because they like that hot sort of Indian Maori kind of character looking, and this one too. Now he was sweet on that girl watching them whales and stuff. I've gone on whale watching trips in San Francisco. Yeah. Okay. The sign language guy. But apparently at the end he did say they took off his inhibitor. He said yes. Yeah, what if that actor just couldn't speak, so they just had him come up and do the signs because he couldn't speak? That's kind of cool. They did that. Yeah, so it's still woke. Still woke, still Star Trek. Yeah. So that's a long review, but hey, why not? It's the pilot. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of that stuff isn't really about the episode, but that's fine. It's a Betazoid episode. Fine. I'm sure there'll be a lot less of the ramblings.